consider a career change. I have had so many careers and I have changed so many jobs in my life that I think that I'm almost a professional career hopper. And in that sense, I'm qualified today to talk about the subject, consider a career change. And most of my students who are here and whom I taught before, you know that I recently changed yet another job, okay? And when I was in the meeting, so all the new staff were asked to introduce themselves. So they were said, so all the staff got up and talked about their commitment to the organization and how they're going to be an asset to the organization and what kind of experience they bring and everything. And it all sounded so wonderful. I would want to hire them. They were that good. And then it was my turn. And as most of you know, who have attended my classes, I never tend to prepare, right? So I quite often think without thinking. So that's what I did. I got up and I started talking about, who am I? I used to work as a flight attendant, and then I started working as a sub-editor, and then I worked as a BBC journalist, and I've been working as a teacher for about 12 years, and I'm thinking about what should I do next? And then they all broke into laughter. They all started laughing. And I sat down, and then I realized they were thinking I was joking. That a new teacher, a new joiner, is definitely not going to say at that very spot, what should I do next? That is why they thought I was joking. So they said, oh, you were joking, right? And I was, no, I didn't realize that. I wasn't joking. It was in absolute earnestness. I meant it. And, then I came to know that they gossiped about me. They talked behind my back, and they said things like, she actually said that. What is she going to do next? Right? And then when we all gathered, then the boss comes to me and says, so when are you leaving us, Aditi? And I wanted to die, of course. So why? Why do we want to change careers? Why do we want to change jobs? Because very often we feel that we are stuck. We are in a rut. We are stagnating. We are not growing anymore. And life and monotony is just killing us. It's boredom, plain boredom. Day in, day out, same work, soul-destroying, right? And you want to try out something different, something new. I'm not saying be reckless, be careless. Of course, think about it, right? But then you've lost all the excitement for work. And you're doing it just because you have a mortgage, just because you have a child to support, right? And there is no other reason other than purely material ones. Oh, the wrong one. Yeah, so things that bother us very often. What is going to happen? I'm going to lose the money, so I won't have a stable income. I'm going to lose the prestige that comes with teaching in a university. I'm not going to have that much respect. And whatever new endeavor that I might try, I might not be successful at it, very likely. Right? So these are the fears that stop us from doing or jumping into another career. But the opposite of fear is where success is often hiding, right? And we have to kind of go through the fear to realize and achieve our success. We can't avoid fear. We can't escape fear. We just have to put ourselves there and tackle it if you're ready to do so. And most people that I happen to speak to who are, again, like me, and who keep changing careers and who have had numerous careers, they have told me that if they had a second chance, they would do exactly the same thing again. And they have no regrets. The only regret they have is they wish they had done it sooner. Right? So there is an inner confidence that keeps them going. There's an inner courage that keeps them going. And where does this courage come from? Why do they feel they can do it? When so many of us are stuck in that rut and going and doing the same jobs. And some people have been in the same job for 20, 30, 40 years of their life, and they reach the absolute pinnacle. They become, I don't know, CEOs, leaders, politicians, and then they think of careers in terms of vertical success, right? Are you going up? And in your resume, if you don't have that vertical success and you're kind of jumping jobs and this kind of horizontal movement, that doesn't add anything because they feel that you're not really making any improvement in your career, okay? So, well, they might think that, but at the same time, what does it mean to you? Why do you want to change your career? That is the question, right? You may not want to go upwards, but what is the reason motivating you to go and change your career? One, biggest one I have felt is that you feel you have so much potential. You've done one thing, but there's a lot more within you. There's so much to offer. There's so much that you can give, right? And there's a part of you that's just not being explored, right? And that creates a feeling of unfulfillment. You feel dissatisfied. You know, I could do so much better. I could do so much more, right? And then you want to get out of your comfort zone. Of course, it's very difficult to switch from, let's say, you know, being a flight attendant to being a journalist or, you know, being a NASA scientist. It is extremely difficult. But then you decide, okay, no, I'm going for it, and it's not going to be easy, but I'll give it a go, right? Now, these people definitely changed their careers. Martin Luther King was a Baptist minister. Mahatma Gandhi was a lawyer, right? Now, why did they feel compelled to change their careers? Because Martin Luther King decided that it was important for him to become a civil rights leader. Whatever he saw around him in his society, it did not seem right, and he felt the need to step up and take action and become an activist, right? Priorities change in life, okay? So it might be something that really propels you in that direction. And same with Mahatma Gandhi. He was a lawyer, he was doing well, he was all set for his career. And then he went to South Africa. He saw how the white Africans treated the black Africans. And once he came back to India, he saw the same thing was happening in India. The white people were treating Indians exactly with the same kind of, you know, behavior with a lot of cruelty. And Indians were considered inferior to white Britishers, right? And this made him decide that no, we can rule ourselves. We do not need some other people from another country to come and rule us. So he became a freedom fighter, right? In material terms, did they gain anything? Probably not. But we remember them. We don't remember a lot of people who gained a lot of things materially. We do not remember the names of all the CEOs and, you know, leaders who were born, right? But we do remember them. So, what makes them so memorable? Sorry. It's the power of conviction. It's the belief that you can do it, even in the face of opposition. People are telling you, no, you can't. You won't be able to. Come on, right? They're always naysayers. And, well, they discourage us because, as Manaboli has said, people who lack clarity, courage, or determination to follow their own dreams will often try ways to discourage you, right? But they do not have to live with the consequences. It's not their life, it's yours, yeah? So take the first step. If you need to get a degree, go ahead, get that. Start building a network in the field that you want to get into. Okay? And those times have passed when people used to have one career throughout their lives. These days, people have 10, 15 jobs, right? By the time you have finished your career span, you might have even 20 jobs. Things are changing very fast, right? And your time is limited, so don't let other people's opinions drown your own voice and your own ambitions about what you want to do, or you might want to do various things in your life. You don't have to have one particular career. This idea of having just one career is very limiting. It's very constraining, right? You can have 4 or 5 or 6 careers. What's wrong with it? You may not specialize to the extent that maybe a scientist does after 20, 30, 40 years of research. But if specialization is what you want, then go for that, right? But how do you then define your success? How do you measure your success? And that will enable you to decide what you want to do, right? So what do you want to do? That's a question that bewilders most of us most of the time. People say, students come to me and say, oh, Aditi, I've taken this major, but I want to change it because I still can't make up my mind. And, somehow, I don't know, I can't decide. And then I want to tell them, this is never going to be over. Every 2, 3 years, you're going to think the same thing. Even when you're 40, even when you're 35, even when you're 50, you're going to think the same thing. That, am I in the right job? It's possible. It may seem, maybe for some of you, it might be unlikely, but for many of you, you would still not be sure. And life is living with this ambiguity, with this uncertainty. Okay? Now I'm doing this. Will I want the same thing 5 years, 10 years from now? We all change. Most likely not. Right? So, you don't know. So, the way I feel it is know what you want, and then the how somehow, comes into place. So the how you can figure out gradually, but at that moment, just think, where do you want to go, and what do you want from your life? Okay? Then you can start figuring out how to go about it. And the easiest way to do it is to come up with your own definition of success. What does it mean to you? Does it mean more money, power, fame? These are the usual indicators of success. Right? This is how we measure success. Oh, so-and-so is now the head of L'Oreal. So-and-so is earning $200,000 per annum. Right? So-and-so, like everyone knows him. Right? He appeared on television. She did this. And this is how we measure success. But then there are others. The people who go climbing mountains. And so they climb Mount Everest, and we think, why are they doing it? Right? It doesn't make sense to us. But it is success to them. It is their very own definition of success. They leave everything behind. Okay? Their stable careers, their jobs, put their backpacks on, and go to Mount Everest. And they know very well that they might die. A lot of them do die, So there are very few who actually reach the top. Do you want experiences? This is where I come. I love experiences. When I die, I want all these experiences to pass through my mind like a collage. My teaching, my flight attendant days, the people in my life. I want it like that. I hope, right? So I crave different experiences that can enrich me. Right? Maybe specialization is not my thing. Yeah? Or is it reaching your full potential, everything that you're capable of, and doing each of those and having that satisfaction that I did everything that I could, right? And that's a very rewarding experience, to know that you tried everything. So have your own yardstick for success. Do not follow other people's ideas of what you should be doing. So for example, this was me, you know? You can see very fit, very slim, very trim. Yeah, not like this. And I was 19, and I really, you know, at that time when I got the job, it was a career by accident, okay? Because I happened to see the ad somewhere, and then my family was going through a financial crisis, and I thought, well, this can get me good money, and at the same time, I'd, you know, love to travel, get away from my parents, and lovely, sounds great, exciting. So I started flying, right? It just happened overnight, like within 10 days, right? Sent my letter, photos, and then within a month or two, they said, okay, you're coming to Hong Kong. And I'm like, I'm never leaving this job. It sounds ideal. So much money, travel, meet people, have fun. This is what I'm ever going to want. This is all that I'm ever going to need, right? So yes, I did all that. I traveled around the world, and then, you know, boredom set in. I was fed up. I was fed up of giving trays and collecting trays, giving trays, collecting trays. And then I was like, okay, now even if I become the chief purser, no matter how high I rise, right? Ultimately, I'll be the head chief purser. Big deal. Still, I'll be giving trays, collecting trays, asking others to give trays and collect trays. So physically, of course, it was very, very demanding, right? Which kept me absolutely slim. But mentally, my brain cells had turned to mush. My gray cells were shrinking. I knew my brand names because other girls talked about brand names. You can get this from here, buy your Mac from here, buy your this from here, and I could, you know, I was an encyclopedia on all those things, right? But what happened to my zoology honors, my genetics, you know, whatever I had studied? All gone. What is a cell? No idea, forgot, okay? So then I was like, I started feeling frustrated. There was the sense of, you know, there was the sense of, like, what am I doing? This is meaningless, you know? And it was there every day I went for a flight. And I started losing happiness. I became unhappy in the job. Right? I had to continue for a while, again, because of financial reasons. But during that time, I did a diploma in news writing and editing. So I started doing a diploma from London. And gradually, step by step, within 4 years, I became a sub-editor, right? And then sub-editing was, again, sitting at home, doing a lot of sub-editing, going to the office, you know, paperwork. And then I wasn't meeting any people. So I was like, I'm not meeting people. I need more excitement. Okay. So, yeah. So then I did my MA, became a BBC journalist. And after journalism, because I had a baby, so I realized I couldn't do shift duties. So came into teaching. And now I'm thinking, okay, 12 years of teaching, what's next? And that's really on my mind. And I think I'm going to study law. Whether I become a good lawyer or not, I don't know. But I'm going to study law, and I'm going to practice law. So if you need any legal advice 10 years from now, you can come to me. Yeah, so it's cliche, but true, right? It's never too late. Whether you're 40, whether you're 50, it doesn't matter. And Walt Disney, What was he? He was a newspaper editor, and he was fired by his boss because he was told, "You have no imagination." Walt Disney, the guy who created Disney, had no imagination, right? So, of course, he went on to do this. All these people, Andrea Bocelli was a lawyer, Sylvester Stallone worked in a zoo. Can you imagine that? Whoopi Goldberg put makeup on dead people. Ken Jeong was a doctor. Julia Child, the cook, the famous cook, was a CIA agent. She was a spy, okay? And Margaret Thatcher was a research chemist. Then she went into food and health. And after that, she was also a lawyer for some time, a barrister for some time. All these people show us it's possible. It can be done. If they can do it, we can do it. How did they do it? Because they were prepared to sacrifice something. They were prepared to sacrifice their stability for better rewards, for fulfillment. They were adaptable, they were flexible, they were willing to learn, and they knew what differentiated them from the others. And all the other jobs they had done, they built up their skills. They built one on top of the other and utilized them. Nothing, no knowledge and no experience is wasted in the end. Yeah? So with great sacrifice comes great reward. Unless you take that risk, it's not going to come. So please, as students in the future, do not settle for less. If you feel you can do more and you can get more, go for it. Don't be scared, okay? And when you look back at your career, be proud that I tried everything. Yeah? So don't hold back. And don't let the conventional wisdom of, have a very stable, safe career prevent you from taking the leap. Right? Thank you very much.